That was Ethan, and you're probably wondering how he got in this situation. You see, earlier that day he was looking online and saw how great creek fishing was. So he decided to go to his closest creek to try it out. But when he gets to the spot, he finds it's way harder than it looks. He's snagging left and right. Dang it, we're snagged. He's constantly having to tie on new baits with impossibly small hook eyes, and the fish he's catching are too small to look impressive in a photo. Creek fishing can be very hard, but these are my top 5 tips and tricks to make it easier. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. As you saw from the title of this video, today I'm going to be showing you my top 5 tips and tricks for creek fishermen. Let's not waste any time and get into it with tip number 1. As you saw from the intro, it can be super annoying to have to tie on lures with extremely small hook eyes, and it can be a pain to constantly have to take your bag off just to get out a new soft plastic. So before I leave to go fishing, I put 6 to 7 soft plastics in my pocket. And since they all use the same rig, when your bait gets ripped or you want to change up, it's extremely easy to just reach in your pocket and pull out a lure. This is probably my favorite trick because of how much time it saved me, but speaking of soft plastics, that brings us into tip number 2. Now, the second tip I actually figured out by accident, but if you put all of your old soft plastics with some of your new soft plastics in a bag, and then you leave it in a garage or something for like a couple of days, then when you come back, you'll find a bunch of cool mixed colors to try out. This was a white fluke that I put in with some tiger stripe crappie jigs, and this is what it looked like a couple days later. Even this little shadpole has a cool little red stripe on the tail. So none of these lure tips actually matter if you can't cast your lure in the first place. If you haven't noticed, sunfish lures are extremely small and they can be a pain to cast. So if you want to cast them far, I found out that my next tip is perfect for that. Let me show you. So most of you know, whenever you try to cast a panfish jig by itself, most of the time this will happen. Now, normally you would have to buy special gear in order to cast a jig that small, but this next tip allows you to cast it on your regular old rod. And all you need is a bobber. I like to use these weighted bobbers just so I can cast a little bit further. And all you have to do is put that bobber about 2 to 3 feet above your lure and you can cast a lot farther. Alright, so I have my super tiny panfish lure and then my bobber 2 to 3 feet above that. See if we can get a fish. So basically your bobber is like a casting weight, except it doesn't affect the action of your lure and it allows you to suspend it in the strike zone for a longer amount of time. Fish on! Nice! Let's go! Whoa! We got a super tiny long ear. Alright, so as you just saw, casting light lures can be extremely annoying, but probably the most annoying thing about creek fishing are the snags. What if I told you that my next tip could get a lure back from a snag 9 times out of 10? Alright, so for this next tip, I'm going to be wearing water shoes. You can wear tennis shoes if you want. I'm just wearing them because I don't want to have wet feet for the rest of the day. And obviously you're going to need to be hung up. Dang it, we're snagged. So what you're going to do is you're going to walk out into the water, reeling in slack as you go. And then you're just going to reel all the way in until you feel the lure hit the tip of your rod. And then jab forward. And then you're free, just like that. Now let's say your lure is hooked on the edge of a rock and not lodged in a stick. Then this next tip will help you get your lure back without having to walk out into the water, because sometimes you're not able to. Alright, so the lure isn't actually snagged, it's just hooked on the edge of that rock. So if I tighten my drag all the way and then pop open my bail, it'll shoot the lure back right at me and pop it off the edge of that rock, and I get it back and start saving money. Oh, by the way, this won't work if you're using a bait caster, because obviously you'll backlash. So yeah, don't try this if you're using a bait caster. Alright, so we finally made it to tip number 5, which is perfect for the issue I covered in the intro. A good amount of the fish you'll catch in creeks will be pretty small. Fish on! Nice! Let's go, we got a bluegill. This means that all the pictures you take won't be impressive, but all you need to fix this is a minifigure. It turns your pictures from this to this. Now, some of you know that I've made a short about this minifigure trick before, but I thought it was so cool I had to include it in this video. Alright everyone, so those were my top 5 tips and tricks for creek fishing. Let me know if you knew any of these in the comments down below, but I hope you enjoyed and I'll catch you next time. Alright, so this is going to be in the bloopers of the video. I just wanted to share something real quick. This video is staged at 4 different creeks. Each one's about 1.5 miles to 2 miles apart. So I have to bike with this massive tripod and this rod along the trails in between each shot. It's pretty annoying. I've been doing this all day. Nice. Did pretty good. Dang it, dude. It's so hard to purposely snag something, dude. I do not know why. Dude, what? My hook went right over it that time. Why is it so hard to snag something on purpose?